Hey and welcome to the first post-match review on this channel. I am Guna Down Under. Today is all about the Emirates Cup. Arsenal coming out on top, getting silverware, I guess. Probably as meaningful as United's Carabao, but we move. Game ended 1-1, ended up winning on penalties 5-4. Wasn't a great performance, it was quite a mixed team out there. Half players probably expected to start, half not. Although at this stage it's so up and down, we don't even really know who's going to be starting that first game. Not the best of performances, there was some little sparks here and there, but it was more moments rather than like any consistency. We weren't on the front foot for that long. But look, this video is going to be about the biggest takeaways of the game. And so let's not hold it up much longer. Let's get straight into it. And biggest takeaway didn't even really happen during the game. Arteta saying post-match that Gabriel Jesus is out with a knee injury. It's probably going to be a few weeks. When he's saying things like a procedure on the knee, I don't see it being a few weeks. It's probably going to be a bit longer. Maybe that's when he can start returning to training. But by the time he's match fit, I'd assume he's probably out for a month or so. And so now sparks the, debate who fills his spot. Nkeitah started up front today. I think there's been a lot of mixed reviews, but I thought he was probably the man of the match. I'm not Nkeitah's biggest fans by no stretch of the imagination, but, I think he did good. A lot of Jesus type things, receiving the ball in space, turning, beating a defender, sometimes beat 2 to 3 people. And I think if there was any other player besides Nkeitah, he'd probably get quite a lot of flowers today. But, he's had a lot of chances and he's probably underwhelmed a lot of the fan base, so I get it. But look, today I think he had 3 pivotal moments in the game, which is bigger than any other player. The first time giving it to Martinelli, who should have done better. Next, driving into space, laying it off to Fabio Vieira. Again, should have done better. And then that third one, finishing that goal brilliantly. And then, as well, could have even had the fourth one if Trossard potentially wasn't so selfish. It was a 2-on-1. All Trossard has to do is lay it back to Nkeitah, and then we're just seeing a completely different game, and it'd be a completely different output, I think. If he scored 2 goals, people would praise him a lot more. That's the thing. Those small margins sometimes don't get you the flowers you deserve, but I think he did well today. I think it was still, again, in moments, so I don't know if this necessarily deserves any starts in the Premier League. With Jesus out, I personally would still probably play Trossard up there, when he was starting for us before, play over the month, and then Jesus comes back, doesn't really get a run in the team again. But at least for today's game, I thought Nkeitah was pretty good. Let me know your thoughts. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. Some people saying he was mediocre, average. Other people saying he played really well. So let me know your thoughts down below. And with that, we're going to move on to the next one. Probably a bit harsh to single out William Saliba here, but I think, he was quite poor today. Quite lucky to even stay on the field. Should have got, 2 yellows. I think in any competitive game, he would have been sent off, but because it was a friendly, I feel like the ref was a little bit more lenient. But not only that, he did get caught a few times. I feel like he was in bad positions, a bit slow. And so I think that's definitely something that needs to be fixed. He was an outstanding player pretty much all of last season and then unfortunately got injured at the end. But I think he's definitely someone who, if we can get back to top form, will make that defense feel a lot more stable. I think that was another big thing. Whole preseason, we don't seem quite at it defensively, which is funny because I feel like that's where people think we're the most stacked. But it just doesn't have that unity. And I think as well, people would typically expect without Zinchenko for our defense to be even stronger. But I think just the fact that we're not able to keep a hold of the possession as much, when losing the ball a lot more, I feel like that's putting our defenders under a lot more pressure. And so I think that's something we definitely need to address. That being said, I'm not really concerned about Saliba. We all know his class. He had one decent moment attacking-wise where he was sort of John Stones-esque, running through the whole field, ended up winning us a corner. And, I'm sure he'll get back to where he needs to be. But if we're going to talk about today, I feel like he was quite poor, wasn't quite up to scratch, and this defense really needs getting sorted out. So that's the second biggest takeaway. Let's keep on moving on. Next up, going to talk about our new signings. So first, we'll start with Declan Rice. I think today was probably the most he's played in one game for us. Again, had some moments, him and Martinelli I thought linked up pretty well. He sort of underlapped, put in some good balls into the area. There was no one really there to take advantage. Then there was another time where I think Tomiyasu put in a poor pass. He sort of made something out of nothing, drove through, and just got blocked at the end. So, we can start to see something with Declan Rice. Don't think he's sort of pulling up any trees just yet. But I feel like we've got to give these new signings a little bit more patience. Last year we had Jesus and Zinchenko come in, and because they sort of kicked it off right off the gate, I think we have that same expectation with these players. But you need to remember, Jesus, Zinchenko played for Man City under Guardiola, very similar system, so I don't think it was that big of a transition. Whereas these people are coming from completely different teams, need to sort of set that tone. Maybe it'd take a little bit longer for them to acclimate into the team. But I think Rice was okay today. I think the biggest thing for me is defensively, he hasn't been as good as I'd want. I think Partey's definitely going to have to be, the 6 until Rice can do something about that, or if Rice plays the 8. But I haven't seen him win too many tackles, haven't seen him win the ball back. And that's a little bit concerning, but again, it's early. So we'll have to see on that. Next up, Havertz. Played about 30 minutes or so, didn't do much at all. Only good thing, I think, at one stage he won the ball back, which is not saying a lot, but considering he's more of an attacking 8, most of the concerns with him replacing Xhaka were about the defensive aspect of the game. I think the fact that, he does look a lot more physical than I thought. Winning the ball back, these are the things I'm sort of looking for now, because I think attacking-wise, he's definitely talented enough to play the position, and he'll definitely help us going forward. And if he can clear up that defensive part of the game, get that going, I think then, there might be a real shout for him to play as that main 8. I think, there's a lot of concerns about it. But if he can clear that up, I think then he's definitely our go-to. Now moving on to the last of our new boys, Jurrien Timber. I think he's definitely impressed me the most, and probably a big part of the fan base. He looks very good any position he plays. Left back, right back. He's very athletic. He can get up and down the pitch, comfortable on the ball, just oozes class. And so he's someone I'm definitely excited for. And, maybe starting that season, I think he's probably going to be the left back with Zinchenko not getting any minutes. And so I think him, Martinelli, Havertz or Rice, if they can start building some connection, I think that could be a dangerous combo as well. But yeah, so far no complaints about Jurrien Timber. Would like to maybe see him at centre-back just in case there's an injury to Saliba. But then even then, maybe Ben White can slot into there and Jurrien Timber can just stick to those full-back positions. Inverts really well, gets into good spaces. I would really like to see him inverting from the right, Tierney playing left back. I don't see it happening because we're so far into pre-season and it hasn't really happened yet. So that's something I think Arteta can maybe play into, but I don't see him favouring Tierney at all. But yeah, Timber, again, I think another good performance. He's probably the one that's fit into the team the easiest. And I definitely didn't expect that from the start. But yeah, he's been a really good buy. Next, we're going to talk about Fabio Vieira. A lot of people have been slating him. I think it's unfortunate. Today, he wasn't that bad. I think it's just he sort of does a lot of tidy things and it doesn't really lead to anything. So, he might hold the ball up a little bit, play it into someone. But when it comes into those dangerous positions where he needs that pivotal cross, usually hits the first defender, nothing comes out of it. And I think that's why a lot of people do want a better backup right wing. And I would tend to absolutely agree with that. I do like some aspects of Fabio Vieira's game, but I think especially to give more of a sort of competitive nature to Saka, we need a backup that'll push him a little bit harder, who can also come in, be a bit more direct, score goals, get other people involved. And I don't think Fabio Vieira does that enough. I can see Arteta trying to sort of push him into a Bernardo Silva type player. I don't think he's there yet. He does have a lot of similar traits, I guess. But yeah, I think maybe, he needs a few loans or something like that, but I don't see him being a mainstay in this team. Again, played decently okay today, but I don't think he did anything to sort of deserve a spot or at least deserve any impactful minutes when it comes to the regular season. But I do think he was, a bit harshly played by the fan base today. He wasn't the worst player, nowhere near. But that being said, he also didn't do much. All right. So, moving on to the last sort of major talking point, it's Mikel Arteta. So, we got one half preseason game left against Man City in the Community Shield, and then it's go time against Nottingham Forest. And I guess the main thing is, does he know who our starting 11 is? I think, it's important to be able to rotate and have a squad, especially when going Champions League and Premier League. But I think, when the going gets tough, you do need to sort of have a lineup where they're going to get those results. They're going to be able to get you out of a slump. And I'm not sure if he has that yet. I don't know if he knows if Havertz is going to be the mainstay at 8, or if Rice is, or if it's going to be game-by-game dependent. But that's definitely something to look out for and see what Arteta has in store. I think that Community Shield's probably going to be a bigger indicator of who's going to be starting that first game. It's going to be interesting now with Jesus out. Does Nkeitah get the start again, or does he go with Trossard? Does Martinelli play left wing, or does Trossard? So I think there's a lot of different conversations that can be had. Something that I've noticed, sort of when Havertz plays that attacking 8, based on that Barcelona game, he likes to have Trossard left wing, because Trossard can sometimes sort of switch with Havertz in game, take up that 8 position at times. Is that something he sees Martinelli doing as well? I'm not too sure. I sort of wish this preseason was a little bit longer so we had a bit more time to know what the go is. But, before we know it, it's going to be that first game, and then we don't have time to be tinkering. We need to sort of get another good start, because we know City's probably going to finish well. So if we can sort of just try and get another season where we maybe get a lead on them and hopefully don't lose it, I see that sort of being our best bet. But it's going to be tough. So that's me for today. These are my sort of major talking points. If you have anything differently, leave it in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Also, like and subscribe. It's a new channel. It really help out. And look forward to seeing you for a lot more videos. Peace.